Yeah, so it's Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao is the jungle, and I don't know if you guys remember, I did kind of say I thought Xin Zhao was pretty good. Let's see. Okay, this was me talking about it on the patch notes review. Will start to push him into meta a little bit. I already think he was a little bit underrated because he's already had those changes where you can dash to a target that you mark with your second ability. These might make him more playable, but they did kind of... So, I did, to be fair, I did in that video say that I didn't think he was going to be insane. I actually didn't. I think people were massively underrating Xin Zhao because they hadn't really, I think, cottoned on to that PC rework that we had a while ago, where they did this rework on the PC. They brought it to wildrift and no one was playing Xin Zhao, but people are playing Xin Zhao quite a lot on the PC version right now. So I think Xin Zhao's probably in a pretty good spot. And then I was playing with Doom, and Doom was like, I think Xin Zhao's like busted. And I was like, okay, fine, play him. And he started playing Xin Zhao a lot in ranked, and this is his build. Now, before we get into it, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. Reference link in the description below. And if you want to enter the giveaway, just give a comment on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Boom, there you go. He said that this build is better than Triforce build, and he's tested a lot of them at challenger level. He's rank 1 on Europe, right? So he's tested a lot of this stuff. Black Cleaver into Blade of the Ruin King to Sterex Gauge, GA, and then some kind of defensive item at the end. I've just put in Spirit Visage because that synergizes with Xin Zhao's healing, but it can be really any defensive item that you think is necessary for the game that you're in. I think in terms of boot enchants, you can have Glory, you can have the Spooky Ghosts, which is this one, which is the Shadows enchant. You can have Stoneplate enchant. Like, there's lots of enchants that you can use in Xin Zhao that are going to make him good. This just allows you to chase down targets a little earlier in the game. But that's the build. The runes is Conqueror, Brutal, Bone Plating, and Pathfinder. Pathfinder for the movement speed in the jungle and in the river. Bone Plate is an interesting one because it's a 45-second cooldown. The next 3 champion abilities or attacks against you within 1.5 seconds deal actually quite a significant amount of damage, like reduction. So you get 30 less damage reduction at level 1, 60 less damage reduction at level 15. But that's actually, especially in the early game, doesn't make as much difference in the late game, but especially in the early game, that's a pretty significant amount of damage reduction that you're getting from the very get-go. So that's going to help you in ganks, that's going to help you in early river skirmishes. It's just generally a good item, and considering that junglers don't get into fights as often as you do in the laning phase, it's actually a rune that works really well in that regard. So this is the build, and of course, with a build, we need to have a game. So let's go and have a look at a game that we played at Challenger level on Europe. Okay, let's see if my my pen works. You should be able to see that. Hopefully you're able to see that. I'll double check. No, you can't see that just yet. Now you should be able to see that. Hey guys, smiley face. Cool. Let's get going. Right, we're going to be primarily focusing on Doom this game. We're not going to be that interested in what I have to do. I'm going to take my headset off just so I can concentrate a little bit more. My hair has gone all over the place. I have to use a hairband now, guys. My hair's got that long. Okay, so Doom did that classic thing. You may have heard me talk about it on Wildrift Doctor yesterday. Drop a ward here, back, and pick up a sweeper. I don't know if I can show you what trinket he's got, but I guarantee you that he's got a sweeper. Oh yeah, he's got a sweeper. You can see it in his inventory there. Okay, so go back, drop a ward, pick up the sweeper. That's a very classic high elo jungle thing to do. You might have seen it in Wild Rift Doctor yesterday. If you haven't watched Wild Rift Doctor, why have you not watched Wild Rift Doctor? It's a breakdown of a Emerald Akali gameplay and a Fizz Diamond jungle gameplay. So, dropping a ward here, backing, picking up a sweeper. Looks like someone dropped a ward at the red buff for some reason. I think it might have been the Ezreal. Sorry, the Jinx. Yeah, it was the Jinx, because I still have my ward. So I've still got my ward in my inventory. It looks like Jinx dropped the ward. So it looks like we're just going to follow Doom. So his pathing was red buff into Raptors, or Razorbeaks into Wolves. And again, those of you that don't know, to do this, you just want to group the... as a melee jungler, you just want to group the minions up. And get your AoE damaged off. Gets through this pretty quickly. Xin Zhao doesn't go low in the jungle at all. So like Xin Zhao's got natural inbuilt sustain. So River Scuttler is up. Doom's going to be going for a blue buff before going for River Scuttler. You can use Smite twice in the jungle before going to the River Scuttler. And then have Smite up available for that River Scuttler, which is why you'll see a lot of junglers smite the red buff, then smite the blue buff. And yeah, looks like he's obviously not going to get contested. Lee Sin's classic pathing is like this. So look like there's a counter gank mid there. So he drops the River Scuttler to go in for a gank onto the mid lane here. Enough to kind of just force him back towards this River Scuttler. Very close to level 5, by the way. So very, very close to level 5. This is obviously a big power spike for Xin Zhao. You have a really good dueling potential. Xin is one of the few junglers in the game that can actually duel Lee Sin very early on. And I like this. He's not actually going to go back to his Gromp. He's going to go aggressive and look over for a potential on the Krugs, because very few Lee Sins will go red into Krugs. So what you might actually see some people do is starting Krugs into red. You might have seen it on the Origin series. Some people now start at their Krugs and then go towards their red buff. This does eliminate the easiest piece of counter jungling that you can do. So if you were to start at your Krugs and then go towards red, the enemy jungler would classically path this way and then not find anything at the Krugs. Love that he stayed around to try and gank the Fury, who just randomly pops her ultimate on Xin Zhao. Nice dodge, and uses the ultimate just to secure the kill here. Even with the ignite, no issues whatsoever. Nice pickup of an early kill. And that is a good start. This is where we get Lee Sin trying to dive me and the Jinx down the bottom side of the map. They have got an Orianna support. I don't think Orianna support is troll, by the way. I think Orianna support has merit. This is my discussion on Orianna support. As I'm just going to check what Doom's going. Doom's looking like he's going for a gank on the Akali. This should be a relatively easy gank. Has got the Shroud. It's very interesting. Yeah, okay. Very interesting that Doom didn't go like towards the tower in the Shroud, because I guess he was maybe worried about the kill threat of the Akali, but I really feel if you just walk towards the tower, like Akali's main point of exit is going to be towards her own tower. But look, I'm sure Doom will be able to explain his decision making there, but I felt like if you just stayed closer towards the tower, like it's more likely that you're just going to kill the Akali straight up. But yeah, took a couple of tower shots, couldn't find the kill, and Akali gets the kill back there. So a little bit of an upsy daisy, but it is what it is. Orianna support, by the way. So, Orianna support makes sense in the scheme of having someone that can have really good lane pressure. Like, Orianna support is going to zone you away really easily. Outside of the laning phase, though, you're just a bad Orianna. You don't have the gold to be a good Orianna, so you're just a bad Orianna, where your only utility is a really crappy shield and a very, very... obviously, your shockwave can be impactful, but it's not really dealing that much damage, then it's not, you know, not insane. So... I don't rate Orianna support. I think whilst her shield is obviously somewhat utility and she has the shockwave, she's mostly about damage, and you don't really have the gold income to make Orianna good in the support role. So I don't really rate Orianna. Plus, this Orianna went tier and has not gone for a boot enchant, whereas I've just gone straight into redemption, which is going to give us a better edge in a team fight around the first dragon. So you see Lee Sin over the wall here. I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he was maybe looking for a kick onto the Jinx or onto to me, but we're a little late, which means that, you know, Doom's just going to go for his Krugs. Not that interested in going for an early Drake here. I don't think we win realistically, so I think it was a relatively sensible decision to say don't contest it. And that's the mark of a good jungler. Like, some junglers just like AFK their way into a fight and like, I've got to fight the dragon, guys. I've got to go and fight it because I'm the jungler. And they don't really think about like how your team works as a team fight. If you're even in the correct position to fight, like is everyone there? Like, is it a 5v5? Like, you know, clearly there are issues, I think, when it comes to fight jungle. This is a really nice little gank by Doom. I had to use my wild growth to keep him safe, but just showing you the power of that Xin Zhao gap closing potential. Like, Xin Zhao, you mark that target, you can jump to them instantaneously. Like, it was a really easy tower dive to go for, and that's allowed Doom to get his first item of the game, which is going to be that Black Cleaver. Now, obviously, Lee Sin is having a similar impact. Like, Lee Sin is 1-0-1 right now, and the Akali is 3-0-0, so they have got a very fed Akali to worry about. Luckily, this Akali went for a straight Liandry's Torment instead of going into, like, haunting guys into Rabadons. Going for the straight Liandry Torments, I think, actually reduces your power spike overall. So, yeah. This Fiora is kind of inting a little bit here. Doom just, like, walking straight up. I'm now roaming with Doom, by the way. Nice mark onto her. She's going to be easy to dive to and get the kill. I'm roaming around with Doom at this point because, again, support's job primarily is to be a little bit more active on the map. And I think if you're sat in bot lane the entire game as a support, you're not doing your job properly. So I still have wild growth, I think. But Doom forced to flash away because the Ezreal joins the fight. Jinx isn't rotating whatsoever in this game, by the way. This is one of the things that we had a real problem with. We are actually behind in gold, as you can see. And mainly because my Jinx is just like sat bot lane, not rotating. So we go for an in-engage on this, this Rift Herald, but Doom is relatively low HP, so we have to be a little careful about this. But if we get the Rift Herald, it's probably okay. Like, if we pick up the Rift Herald in this scenario, it's probably okay. Don't know what that Gragas ultimate was about, but in the end, we got the Rift Herald. I'm just trying to find my way out of this fight. Like, on the back line, just buying some time. Doom's there as well. We obviously want to back off here. Like, I think we don't want to go for the fight here because I'm already low enough HP. Jinx has now randomly rotated and has left Ezreal to get the bot lane tower 100% by himself. She was slow to rotate and has now given away the first tower of the game, which was, I don't know, she was flaming all game, by the way, guys. This Jinx was just like permanently flaming. In fact, specifically this Jinx was saying, do I have a support? And I'm like, well, it's not my job to babysit you all game. But anyway, we made an error on the bottom side of the map. Jinx backed off. We didn't get a pretty decisive fight, so we traded Rift Herald for first tower, which, in my opinion, especially because the second Drake is Mountain, and I'm not that bothered about creating priority in a lane for Mountain Dragon. I feel like we made a bit of an upsy daisy there. I think Jinx could have just sat there clearing the wave and we could have got Rift Herald and backed away for free. And then we might have been able to get first tower of the game. Something that I've noticed that Doom does do a lot is he does put a lot of emphasis on farming. So he does put like a lot of pressure on just clearing camps as quick as physically possible. If you're wondering what he maxes first, he maxes his second skill followed by his third skill. So he maxes second skill, third skill, and then first skill last. Obviously puts a point in ultimate whenever possible. So Doom's actually just, as it looks right now, just funneling a lot of resources into himself. Misses the second ability there, but second ability is on a very, very short cooldown. But again, this is a good decision to back off here. You have an Akali potentially hovering. You don't know where anybody is on this side of the map. So Ezreal just showed up with a Mystic Shot. So that was good from Doom to just say, okay, let's not take the fight with Lee Sin because I don't know where half their team are. Very, very wise decision to make, honestly. And now comes away with the Blade of the Ruined King power spike, which is a pretty good power spike, honestly, for this second dragon. Like, this 2-item power spike for Xin is pretty strong. I'd say that Xin spikes really well with pretty much all of the items in this build, but this is a point in the game where you are going to want to be trying to take advantage of that Blade of the Ruined King. So I'm kind of buffing Doom at this point. Like, I'm more concerned with like his carry potential in this fight. He does flash. Luckily, the Ziggs ultimate gets the kill here. We have used that Xin Zhao ultimate though, which is a relatively important teamfight ultimate. But because we get the kill onto the Akali, who's probably the strongest member on the enemy team, this is a relatively good play to go straight up and start the dragon. However, the enemy team, honestly, really smart enemy team that we're facing, they just went mid lane prio. They just said, fine, whatever. You get Drake, we'll just go mid lane prio. And that was like, I think, a good trade for them, considering that it was Mountain Drake. For some reason, we got into a fight and we actually pick up a kill. So we actually pick up a kill, and that's pretty good. And then it looks like Doom is just going to funnel some tower gold into himself. Now look at his gold value. As the jungler, he is 1,300 ahead of his closest ally, which is the Jinx or the Gragas. Pretty significantly ahead of anybody else in the game on his team. Obviously, the Akali a little bit higher. The Lee Sin's definitely closer. But Doom is like really far ahead of anyone on our team, and that has been obviously partly due to the 3 kills, but it's really due to how much he focuses on farming as a jungler. He's very good at efficiently pathing. So something you'll notice with Doom is that whenever he's like walking past the camp and then maybe going to do something else on the map, he'll always take the camp if he can. So he'll walk past the camp, he'll grab it, he'll get that gold. He's very good at counter jungling, and he will also, you know, be that guy in a side lane that will just split push a tower and get all of that free tower gold to himself. So, you know, the tower gold has been increased locally. So the power of tower gold has been increased locally. And that means that if you're the one taking the tower, you're going to get way more out of it. So you notice that we can see Akali in her shroud. It's one of the reasons why Lulu is really, really good into Akali. If you just use Lulu's third ability, if I just show you, if you use Lulu's third ability, which is the shield, on an enemy, it reveals them. So even when Akali goes into her shroud, like, obviously you're going to be able to catch her out. Now, we don't know where the majority of the enemy team are, but this is a relatively good catch onto the Ezreal, who does manage to dive away with both Flash and Arcane Shift. Bit of a shame that we didn't kill the Ezreal, but at the end of the day, we get the tower, and we still have the Rift Herald kind of pushing up the mid lane, so pushing up the top lane. So we actually have like 2, you know, we got quite a lot out of this particular little engage. Jinx dies 1v1 to the Lee Sin bot, and this is the point where Jinx typed in the chat, do I have a support? And I actually just typed back that I'm not going to bother supporting an AD carry that doesn't want to play with a team. So I spent most of this game rotating with the Xin Zhao to try and empower him, and you can see like most of my buffs are going on the Xin Zhao to kind of make him stronger in these teamfight situations. That was a bit aggressive from Gragas. It was a really good shockwave, but again you saw like how little damage that shockwave did from the Orianna. Like that Orianna shockwave really didn't do anything. And that's why Orianna support kind of feels bad, because if you look at the items, this Orianna's got like just a Seraphs and one needlessly large rod. It's not really doing a huge amount of damage at this stage in the game. So the Orianna support isn't really building like massively towards support items. She isn't even going like Ardent Sensor or Harmonic Echoes. Looks like we do manage to smite away the blue buff. This Akali's like got a death sentence, by the way. Goes in, tries to kill me. I basically flashed. The reason I made that flash, by the way, I know it might have looked really stupid. The reason I flashed towards my team is that I didn't want Akali to kill me with the shuriken and then get out of the fight. Because I knew that I was dead. I had the shuriken on me. So I didn't want Akali to use the shuriken and then walk out of the jungle this way and my team can't kill her. So I actually flashed back towards my team to make sure that Akali died. So I traded 1-for-1 overall, which is, I think, okay. Infernal Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. This is obviously a big point. But look, Doom's not going there just yet. He's kind of like going to soak this top lane wave. He's going to bounce it back. And he knows that he'll get back towards the Infernal Dragon in time to actually have that impact. So he's going to, again, just knowing that he can kind of path through, he'll even back and then run back towards the Infernal Dragon like this. So he should get there just in time to be able to contest this objective. And pick up another nice little item spike, which was some more armor as well. So picks up that extra little bit of armor, which, versus a Fiora, Ezreal, and Lee Sin might actually make the difference. And by the time the Infernal Dragon spawns, we're in the area to contest this objective. So again, just efficiently soaking gold on the map. You'll notice that he won't waste any opportunity to get free gold. Now we have complete priority. I don't know why Jinx is over this side of the wall, by the way. Very, very risky place for us to go for a team fight here. But a really nice Gragas barrel does mean that we secure this neutral objective. And watch, I actually ult myself accidentally. I don't really know why I did that, but I'm just buffing Doom at this stage in the game, right? I'm giving Doom literally all the buffs. I literally don't care about what's happening on the other side of the map. I'm just walking around trying to get Doom as much resource as possible. But unlucky for us, we don't really have a great result in this team fight. But lucky for us, we have Doom on the Xin Zhao. Picks up the Sterix gauge. Doesn't quite make the play, but again, eventually finds the kill. And then versus the support, Orianna can't do anything, who fails her flash and ends up getting a double kill out of it as well. So Doom kind of carried that fight. I think mainly because if you look at his gold value, he's 12,000. And that obviously he got 3 kills there, which was big for him. But most of his gold has come purely through farming. And again, doesn't waste any time, doesn't back when he doesn't need to, just comes and takes the Krugs, which is a huge chunk of gold as well, and is just constantly looking for opportunities to funnel gold into himself as the jungle. It's not often that you see a jungler get this much gold purely through farming on the map, which is what Doom's been doing, which is actually like I think it's a really good strategy to carry low elo jungles as well. Like, just being a jungler that can farm and clear waves really quickly is going to give you an edge when you are trying to carry from that position. Sorry. Needed to get a drink. So, obviously, Baron is the next point of call. We have 2 dragons, which I think, Mountain and Infernal, these are 2 nice dragons to have for the game. Good sweeping means that they don't know that we're here right now and end up just buffing again. I'm playing to make Doom like a hyper carry in this situation. I'm not bothered about the Jinx. I think obviously Jinx will come online eventually. I think 3 items is when I might start giving Jinx a little bit more of my resources. But right now in the mid game, mostly concerned about giving Doom as much carry potential as possible. Big wave for the Jinx to soak at the bot lane. As soon as she shows herself, we are obviously in a bit of a risky spot where they could look for an engage. The one thing that we've got going for us with their team is they don't really have a very good engage button. So we're clearly in an okay spot because they can't really just say, oh my god, let's go. Like, they have to either find a Lee Sin ultimate or whatever. So I immediately ult Doom just to give him the extra HP. He obviously picks off the Ezreal here. Jinx finally joins the fight at the end, but look at just how ridiculously strong Xin Zhao is here. He's basically 1v9ing the backline, doing a huge amount of damage, and essentially gets a triple kill for free at the end of that team fight. Now, Lee Sin kind of cleaned up, but again, Doom gets the mark. Lee Sin is able to get over the wall. Doom immediately flashes. and it's basically a delayed quadra kill for Doom, which is really insane. And he's absolutely just crushing the game right now, and this is kind of showing the power of Xin Zhao, especially with this build in particular. This build is pretty strong, and he actually feels confident enough to say, okay, let's start at the Baron. Like, we have 15 seconds until the rest of our team's up, 4 seconds until the Ezreal, obviously, but look, him and Gragas are just straight up duoing the Baron. Both of them have so much sustain built into their kit that they're not taking any damage. It is a free Baron for these guys. The True Shot Barrage does scout them out, but they get it low enough to smite, and even when Fiora comes into the fight, she's not able to get there in time, and they end up getting the Baron. So they pick up the Baron. Everybody on our team gets the Baron as well, which is now going to give us the edge to try and push for the final moments. So the big takeaways from this game: Doom very, very good at finding gold on the map. So he's just super good at absorbing gold on the map whenever possible. Secondly, kind of funneled tower gold into himself, took lane farm away from people, is now like obviously way ahead of the competition in terms of any gold values, and then uses the item spikes to really kind of play towards teamfight wins. Like, he kind of he was looking for teamfight opportunities when we had he was looking for teamfight opportunities when he had item spikes. Like, so when he had the Black Cleaver, Blade of the Ruined King, he looked for a teamfight opportunity. When he finished at the Sterix Gauge, it was another looking for a teamfight opportunity. So just playing around specific item spikes was a big way to try and win the game here for Doom Xin Zhao. Another True Shot Barrage. You can see Lee just kind of being forced away from the Infernal Dragon, comes in and steals it. Really good steal from Lee, but if we can actually engage the fight here, it won't matter. And at this point, like, I'm kind of a little bit further behind, but if we get the chase down on this fight, we shouldn't have a problem winning the game. And for me, like, obviously now Jinx is at a pretty good set of items, so I can start to buff the Jinx a little bit more and give her more backline carry threat. Doom's kind of like fed enough in his own right that he doesn't really need to. So you can see on his way pings coming through, he's just looking for a flank opportunity. We're going to take inhibitor towers. Like, yeah, okay, losing the Elder is a bit of a BG, but if we just take inhibitor towers, like the Orianna oversteps there, you can see how strong that engages. If you can hit that second ability on Xin Zhao, like, your engage range is absolutely ridiculous. So just like instantly bops that Orianna under tower, and then we get enough power with that minion wave with the Baron to just end up the game straight up. So really good game. Honestly, really good game from Doom Xin Zhao. And I think, like, you see the power of this champion. Like, it's very strong even at challenger level if just built correctly, and also, you know, absorbing gold. Like, very strong carry if you can absorb gold on the map as well. Hope this is interesting to you. Hope you guys in the jungle learned something and maybe want to try a new champion out that has been kind of on the up right now in solo queue. I think Zin's a little bit sleeper OP, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon.